Hi, this is Shannon from No Shelf Control. Thanks for joining me on the channel again today. I have been very lucky lately, and over the course of the past few weeks have won 6 books from Goodreads Giveaways, and can't wait to tell you all about them. I would also highly recommend, if you haven't, that you go to Goodreads and sign up for some of the giveaways. You only have to register for books that you're interested in, and although this might make it less likely that I will win, I would love it if you got the opportunity to win some books that you'd like to read. So, let's get started in looking at the books that I won. The first one is called Hollyland, and I'll be reaching over to pick these up. So Hollyland by Patricia Levy. And let me tell you a little bit about this book. I really like the colors on the cover. It looks like the Hollywood sign, but it's all in pinks and purples. It will be published in the next few days on April 4th, 2023. I do not know who published it. Goodreads is not telling me, so let's look. Copyright, I think it's self-published, so that's why Goodreads isn't telling me. It looks like it is published by Patricia Levy, April 4th, 2023, and the number of pages is 205, so it is a slim little novel. And let me tell you what I know about it from the synopsis. It says, what happens when a seemingly ordinary woman with a passion for the arts meets, falls in love with, and marries a Hollywood star known for his bachelor status and quick temper with the paparazzi? Something extraordinary. Dee Schwartz is a writer and arts researcher. Ryder Field is a famous actor descended from Hollywood royalty. On the night they meet outside a bar, their connection is palpable. Ryder's mother, legendary actress Rebecca Field, half of Hollywood's golden couple when she died, was kidnapped and murdered by a crazed fan in a shocking event that forever tarnished Tinseltown. Dee's mother, too, died when she was young. Bonded by this loss, the two embark on a love story that explores their search for magic, or gold dust, in their lives. Everything changes, however, when Dee mysteriously disappears after an awards ceremony. Is history repeating itself? Can there truly be a happily ever after in Hollywood? So at first I thought this was going to be a romance novel, but it sounds like there's also a little bit of mystery and thriller involved in there. So that is always an interesting combination. So that's Hollyland by Patricia Levy. The next one is Such Good Friends, a novel of Truman Capote and Lee Radziwill, and it is by Stephen Greco. I love this cover. It's reflecting off of my ring light, so we will go ahead and put up the screenshot of that one. It is a big honking book, but I love the picture on the front. I'm very interested in Truman Capote and Lee Radziwill. So let's look at what we know about this book. This one is not coming out until May 23rd, 2023, and it is a John Scognamiglio book. John Scognamiglio. No idea. And it is 416 pages. So maybe not as big as I thought it was. It looks substantial. And here's what we know about Such Good Friends. Reveling in the star-studded parties, fashionable restaurants, and gilt-edged inner circles of its most exclusive events, Truman Capote and his flock of glamorous socialite swans rule the highest echelons of 1960s and 70s high society New York. Stephen Greco brings this scandalous world to life in a fascinating recreation of the tumultuous friendship between Capote and his most elegant yet unconventional swan, Princess and sister of Jackie Kennedy, Her Serene Highness Lee Radziwill. On a Thursday morning in May 1961, a well-mannered 21-year-old named Marlene enters the Fifth Avenue apartment of Lee Radziwill to interview for the position of housekeeper and cook. The stylish wife of London-based Prince Stanislaw Radziwill, Princess Lee is intelligent and creative with ambitions beyond simply jet-setting. But to the public, she is always First Lady Jackie Kennedy's little sister. As Marlene becomes a trusted presence in the Radziwill household, she observes the dazzling array of famous figures who flit in and out of Lee's intimate circle, including Gloria Vanderbilt, Rudolph Nureyev, Jackie and the President, Ari Onassis, Gore Vidal, Andy Warhol, and the most regularly celebrated author, Truman Capote. At the height of his fame following the success of Breakfast at Tiffany's, Truman has granted Lee place of honor in his flock of glamorous socialite swans. Their closeness stems from an unexpected kinship. Both know too well the feeling of being second best. Seeing his shadow in the woman he refers to as his most unconventional swan, Truman uses his influence and talent to try and make Lee a star. Their bond deepens through the decade's extraordinary events, from JFK's assassination to the era-defining black and white ball. But Marlene, who Truman has taken under his wing as an aspiring writer, can see Truman's darker side, especially his penchant for mining his friends' private lives for material. And there are betrayals on either side that may signal the end, not just of a friendship, but of the shared expectation that wealth and fame can shield against every heartbreak. So wow, who from the 1960s and 70s is not mentioned in this book? I assume that it is fictionalized, of course, but interesting. Truman Capote, Andy Warhol, Jackie and the President, and I don't know that I know much about Lee Roswell. I don't think I even knew that she was Jackie Kennedy's little sister, but all sounds very glamorous and very Hollywood, like so many of the books I've been getting lately. And I will be curious to see what happens. So our next book is very different from that. It is called I'm Still Here, and it is by Austin Channing Brown. And you may have seen I'm Still Here for adults. This is the adaptation for young readers, which I'm interested to read both for myself and with my son. It says, loving myself in a world not made for me. I really like this cover. I like the profile. I like the effect of the redacted lines, even though nothing's actually redacted. And I'm curious to see what this one is about. So let's read a little bit about this one. This is I'm Still Here, the adaptation for young readers, and it is going to be published April 4th, 2023 by Convergent Books, and it's only 160 pages. And given that it's written for young readers, it's probably a quick read. So here we go. An adaptation of the powerful New York Times best-selling account of growing up Black and female in America, completely rewritten with new stories for young readers. Austin Channing Brown's first encounter with race in America came at age 7. At that time, she discovered that her parents had named her Austin to trick future employers into thinking she was a white man. Growing up in majority white schools and churches, Channing Brown writes, I had to learn what it means to love Blackness, a journey that led to a lifetime spent navigating America's racial divide as a writer, speaker, and expert helping organizations practice genuine inclusion. In this adaptation of her best-selling and critically acclaimed memoir, she explores how America's racial dynamics show up in the classrooms, friend groups, and conversations kids inhabit every day. I love being a Black girl, she writes, and sometimes being a Black girl in America is hard. Covering topics like representation, self-love, allyship, and being Black in public, Brown helps kids nourish their identity and make sense of how they fit into the world. For students navigating a time of racial hostility, and for the adults and educators who care for them, I'm Still Here is an empowering look at the experiences of young Black kids, inviting the reader to confront apathy, find their voice, and discover how Blackness, if we let it, can save us all. So I love that. I love the idea that as an educator and a mom, this is something that I should read, and also something that I should read with my son. So I will say that my videos that mention queer authors, queer books, anybody who is not well represented in our culture, I always get dislikes on my videos. I never get dislikes on any of my other videos, but anything that touches on the topic of representation, always somebody comes by who dislikes it. So we'll see if that holds true on this video, if folks even watch long enough to get to this point. But underrepresented populations always get a dislike somehow. So really frustrated by that and really surprised by that. But that, I guess that's how it goes. I guess I did get a dislike on my Harry video. Prince Harry was also very controversial, but aside from that, it's always underrepresented populations, queer books, Black books, anything like that always gets a dislike somehow in my reviews. So let's move on to the next book. It is called A Life of One's Own. 9 Women Writers Begin Again by Joanna Biggs. And you can see it's sort of a Brooklyn-looking background here out a window. A pretty cool cover, but it also kind of looks textbooky to me, like an old 1970s textbook of some sort. So I'm not sure about this cover, but I'm definitely going to give the book a read. I love short stories and essays, and I find them to be something easy to pick up and read one here or there when I have a few minutes. So this will be something that I will be dipping into. All right, A Life of One's Own, 9 Women Writers Begin Again, will be published May 16th, 2023 by Echo, and it is 272 pages. It actually looks like less than that. It's a pretty thin volume. I guess 272 is not that many, but I thought it was shorter than that. So here we go. A Life of One's Own, named a most anticipated book of 2023 by the New York Times, The Week, Vulture, and The Millions. A piercing blend of memoir, criticism, and biography, examining how women writers across the centuries carved out intellectual freedom for themselves, and how others might do the same. I took off my wedding ring for the last time, a gold band with half a line of Morning Song by Sylvia Plath etched inside. And for weeks afterwards, my thumb would involuntarily reach across my palm for the warm, bright circle that had gone. I didn't fling the ring into the long grass like women do in the movies, but a feeling began bubbling up nevertheless from my stomach to my throat. It could fling my arms out. I was free. A few years into her marriage and feeling societal pressure to surrender to domesticity, Joanna Biggs found herself longing for a different kind of existence. Was this all there was? She divorced without knowing what would come next. Newly untethered, Joanna returned to the free-spirited writers of her youth and was soon reading in a fever, desperately searching for evidence of lives that looked more like her own, for the messiness and freedom, for a possible blueprint for intellectual fulfillment. In A Life of One's Own, Mary Wollstonecraft, George Eliot, Zora Neale Hurston, Virginia Woolf, Simone de Beauvoir, Sylvia Plath, Toni Morrison, and Elena Ferrante are all taken down from their pedestals, their work and lives seen in a new light. Joanna wanted to learn more about the conditions these women needed to write their best work, and how they addressed the questions she herself was struggling with. Is domesticity a trap? Is life worth living if you've lost faith in the traditional goals of a woman? Why is it so important for women to read one another? This is a radical and intimate examination of the unconventional paths these women took, their pursuits and achievements, but also their disappointments and hardships. And in exploring the things that gave their lives the most meaning, we find fuel for our own singular intellectual paths. So maybe I was wrong. I thought that this book was essays by each of those writers. In fact, she covers each of those writers, really, really cool writers, by the way, and talks about how they found the way to write their best work and how that dovetails with the place she's finding herself in her life as a divorced woman. So a little different than what I thought when I first picked it up, but definitely still something I'm interested in, especially with that cast of characters. Zora Neale Hurston, Elena Ferrante, Toni Morrison, Virginia Woolf. So definitely something worth reading. The next one is Tsarina. And this is written by Ellen Alpston. Look at this Tsarina on the cover. It says, Serf, Murderess, Empress. That's a lot of different words. And it says on the front, makes Game of Thrones look like a nursery rhyme. That definitely got my attention. And that's a quote from Daisy Goodwin, the New York Times bestselling author. So let's see what we know about this one. This one is not newly published or coming out soon. It was published November 10th of 2020 by St. Martin's Press, and it is 467 pages. So it's pretty substantial. And here is the synopsis. And actually, the cover of the one on Goodreads is very different than the cover of the book that I received. So I'll show you both and you can decide which one you like better. I think I like this one on the actual book I received a little better, but that is up to your discernment. So let's see what it says about Tsarina. St. Petersburg, 1725. Peter the Great lies dying in his magnificent winter palace. The weakness and treachery of his only son has driven his father to an appalling act of cruelty and left the empire without an heir. Russia risks falling into chaos. Into the void steps the woman who has been by his side for decades, his second wife, Catherine Alexeyevna, as ambitious, ruthless, and passionate as Peter himself. Born into devastating poverty, Catherine uses her extraordinary beauty and shrewd intelligence to ingratiate herself with Peter's powerful generals, finally seducing the Tsar himself. But even amongst the splendor and opulence of her new life, the lavish feasts, glittering jewels, and candlelit hours in Peter's bedchamber, she knows the peril of her position. Peter's attentions are fickle and his rages are powerful. His first wife is condemned to a prison cell, her lover impaled alive in Red Square. And now Catherine faces the ultimate test. Can she keep the Tsar's death a secret as she plays a lethal game to destroy her enemies and take the crown for herself? From the sensuous pleasures of a decadent aristocracy to the incense-filled rites of the Orthodox Church and the terror of Peter's torture chambers, the intoxicating and dangerous world of Imperial Russia is brought to vivid life. Tsarina is the story of one remarkable woman whose bid for power would transform the Russian Empire. Ooh, I'm excited by that one. So a really powerful, strong woman in Russia that I know very little about. So interested to dig into that one. I hope you are too. Let's see, what is the last book that I read, or that I won, sorry. This is called Ordinary Notes by Christina Sharp. There you go. It's got sort of a blurred, sort of horizon look there. And it says it's from the author of In the Wake on Blackness and Being. So Ordinary Notes by Christina Sharp. Let's see what we know about this one. Publishing on April 25th, 2023 by Farrar, Straus and Giroux, 392 pages. Here's what it says. A singular achievement, Ordinary Notes explores profound questions about loss and the shapes of Black life that emerge in the wake. In a series of 248 notes that gather meaning as we read them, Christina Sharp skillfully weaves artifacts from the past, public ones alongside others that are poignantly personal, with present realities and possible futures, intricately constructing an immersive portrait of everyday Black existence. The themes and tones that echo through these pages, sometimes about language, beauty, memory, sometimes about history, art, photography, and literature, always attend with exquisite care to the ordinary, extraordinary dimensions of Black life. At the heart of Ordinary Notes is the indelible presence of the author's mother, Ida Wright Sharp. I learned to see in my mother's house, writes Sharp. I learned how not to see in my mother's house. My mother gifted me a love of beauty, a love of words. Using these gifts and other ways of seeing, Sharp steadily summons a chorus of voices and experiences to the page. She practices an aesthetic of beauty as method, collects entries from a community of thinkers toward a dictionary of untranslatable Blackness, and rigorously examines sites of memory and memorial. And in the process, she forges a brilliant new literary form as multivalent as the ways of Black being it traces. So I did want to show you a little bit of the inside of this book. I love a book that's written in an unusual format. And as it says, she takes notes. So each couple of pages is a particular short note. And there are also pictures. And she uses these pictures to deliver the message that she's hoping to deliver. Those are just pictures of objects. I don't know what the relevance of those is yet, but there are also pictures of people and of Blackness in particular that I know will play into the story she's trying to tell. So love an alternate format, love books written in letters. You can see also here, there is, what did I just go past? I thought I just saw a receipt. I did just see a receipt, but I don't know where it is now. Here it is, a little list. So lots of very different things in this book. It is called Ordinary Notes. So interested to see how this different format plays into me getting the message from Christina Sharp. I hope you will also check it out. Those are the 6 books I have recently received from Goodreads. I think they are very different, but all very exciting. I only register for the ones that I'm interested in, so you know that there was something about the description of each of these books online that made me sign up to try to win it. And I've been very lucky. So I hope that you will visit Goodreads Giveaways and sign up for some free books as well. Let me know what you win, and let me know what you think of the things that I won. So I will be back with some more videos this week. One, an independent bookshop, a couple of reviews, and some new books that are coming out for April that I am super excited about. And I have a long list of new books that I want to talk about. So I hope you will come back. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe. I will also mention that I do have a wish list at the bottom of the description of each of my videos. If you would like to gift me a book, I would love to have that. I would love to have the opportunity to read it, give a review on the channel, and give you a shout out. So I hope you will come back to see what I have upcoming this week, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.